Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. Today we're doing a marriage Q&A. My name is Sarah, by the way.
And I'm Solo, by the way.
We have been married 18 years, just August 10th of this year. And so we just passed that and we wanted to celebrate by talking about marriage today.
You know what's weird is that I used to remember people that were married for 5 or 10 years and you think, man, those guys are old.
Oh my word,
They've been married for
they
10
were old.
years.
We're not old, but
10 years. And I'm
old.
thinking, we're only 2 years out for 20. I'm thinking, no, I'm not old enough. That's because we got married at 12. But, it was illegal, but we did it.
I was 23 when we got married.
And I was 22.
Yes. So it's been a minute, but we have a lot to show for those 18 years.
Yeah, a lot to show. There's 2 of me since then.
No, I meant all the children.
Oh, okay. I get it. Yeah.
So anyway, we asked you guys for some questions, and there were a lot asked over and over again. We have just kind of put them into 5 simple questions. The first one was, do you guys argue? And is there one topic you argue over a lot? And what is it?
We say this all the time.
We have talked about it.
I argue, I yell and everything, and she's always like, hey, calm down.
Our best friends never ever argue.
No. They've never argued their entire marriage.
Their marriage is not
19 years.
They're not really quite married fully yet.
19 years they've never argued. Maybe they have now. I should check the report.
We should check in with that. Yeah, we do argue. We have strong opinions. We're opinionated people.
Oh, yeah.
What's our most frequent argument?
Day off.
Yeah, how we spend our free time. We haven't actually had that argument in a long time.
No, because we struck a good balance.
No, we hired cleaners. Hey, that could be like...
We've talked about this before.
That's almost like marriage counseling.
Yeah, we have talked about this before. Yeah, it's always like, for me, it's like day off is the day you just like lay down and do nothing. Maybe you might come up with an idea to do something fun, then you can just drag yourself out of the couch, drink coffee, yada yada yada, do nothing. And if something comes up nice to do, then you go do it.
Like, I love to be purposeful and go out and do something early in the morning. Let's spend the whole day.
Let's plan
Or let's do a project at home. Let's get something done. I always got lists to check off.
It's like, let's plan the day off. I'm like, I don't want to plan the day off. That's what the day off is for.
But sometimes the things need to get done.
Yeah, I would agree. Sometimes things have to get done.
Hopefully you guys can't hear wind too much. We really wanted to do this outside because it's beautiful. It's the first day of fall. And we noticed our background is a dirty window. That's just to make us more real.
It's a playroom.
Personable. It is a playroom, so it's like fingers.
But it could have been any room though. And you'll still have fingers.
Yeah, and we could have cleaned it, but it'll be dirty again in 5 seconds, and we only had a little time to film this. Anyway, yeah, we don't fight about that anymore, or argue about that anymore. I think it's because we got cleaners. That's when we stopped.
I think it's because it's found a balance. It took 18 years to like, okay, we could do a little bit of both.
So listen, the cleaners, they only could come, we love the ladies that come to clean our house. They are the sweetest, but they could only come on Mondays at like, a little later in the morning. And so that Monday is our day off. So we actually like have to get up. So we do my way. And then the house is all clean because we have to get up and like pick everything up before they come. Otherwise they wouldn't be able to clean. So
you know what I just found out, guys? I got tricked into this. I had no idea.
Then after that, the whole house is clean. And then the whole afternoon we just
can relax and do something.
He runs the errands he wants, or we just lay around and relax, whatever. We actually have the best of both worlds, but we do my way first and then we do his.
I got tricked, guys. We are gonna go marriage counseling after this session. Yeah.
Hey, we haven't argued about this for a long time. Okay.
Okay, gotta get my coffee. It's hot, but I gotta.
All right. The next question was, what was our hardest year? Did we have a hardest year? We had to talk about this one before we filmed, just because I wondered if my hardest year, what I thought was the hardest year, was the one he thought.
I would say a season. I don't think it was a year. It was just a stressful season.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was maybe around.
It was less than a year.
Might have been maybe around 12. Then we just had way too much going on.
Yeah.
Kids' activities were a lot, job and business, and house stuff. We just didn't have time.
We weren't spending time on our marriage, connecting, and ironically, it wasn't a season, like we've had hardest seasons in our lives, in our marriage. Didn't have to do with our marriage. Like we've gone through really hard things, but that wasn't our hardest season. We've gone through major surgery with one of our kids. We've gone through a really hard financial season.
Same year my dad died, when we had financial hardships.
Yeah, so we've gone through all these challenging things, but that actually wasn't the hardest season for our marriage.
It was just stressful. We didn't have time.
It was when we were too busy.
Too busy to just pause and spend time with on our marriage. And we found that we sat down and realized, hey, we need to spend more time intentionally because we were too busy.
Yeah, we got fed up with it after a while, but
well, what we noticed happening for us is something that I've coached many times in marriage counseling. It came down to communication. We were not communicating right. She would say something, I think she means it one way, or vice versa. And it was just happening over and over again. It wasn't in a disagreement as much as it was communication.
Yes, we were taking each other's words, just like innocent things, wrong.
Yeah.
Over and over. To me, it helped me to see how it can happen in marriages, because we came to a point where, like, I remember where we were driving. There's the two of us were running an errand and we're like, we gotta stop this. We're not communicating well and let's do something about it. And we made a plan, decided to read a book together and discuss it. We didn't even have time to read the book together, but we read it on our own
individually and talk about it when we get home.
And we talk about it a little bit, and we just decided to spend more time together, and it changed. Just like acknowledging it probably was all it took, and it changed. But it had been months. It wasn't a year, but it was a lot of months, and it was annoying. And I can see how it really can drive a rift in couples if they don't
identify it.
Yes.
And then address it.
Yeah, and then we were both ready to address it too, thankfully.
Yeah.
So we got on the same page that way. How many years married were we when that happened?
I think around 14. At first I thought around 11, 12, but it's more recent than that. I think you're right. It was maybe around 14.
Since that time, we make a lot more time to go do something together or just spend time together, and it's important. It's important in some way or form. You gotta make your marriage a priority. So I'm gonna add another question in there. Someone said they were expecting their first baby and they've been married 5 years and wondered how to prepare for that change of season. I tell you, adding children is a change, and if you know that, like not your priority shift, well, yeah, your priorities shift to that baby that needs everything for a little while, and that's okay. And you can still make time for your marriage. That's important, but it might look different for a while.
Right, it'll look different. Priorities don't have to change. It's just that your life looks different, don't you think?
Yeah, exactly. Your life looks different for a while.
And so go in with that expectation.
Yeah, and just remembering your spouse. I think another thing I see that happens to parents a lot of times is when they become parents, is maybe they have two different perspectives of parenting. And so if you can just recognize, I would encourage you to recognize that your husband may do things with the baby different, but that's okay. Baby also needs dad in the way he does things, and so have a lot of grace with him, or vice versa. Sometimes it goes the other way, where dad feels like he has it figured out and mom is not doing it right, but you guys have different ways usually of parenting, and that's awesome. I really feel like the kid needs both ways, mom and dad's way, and that going in with that mentality can really help, and it helps your marriage too.
Well, it also helps to using this time to talk about those things. Some things will surprise you. You won't be ready. There's some things you can never really prepare for. But in terms of talking about just your philosophies as parents, some of the things that you're going to be together on, you can spend that time to be proactive in preparing yourselves or bringing yourself together before even the baby comes. So reading, learning a few things together, and talking it through. This is a great time to talk through things, not just like buying things or building nursery or something in your house, but actually talking about those parenting issues.
Yeah, that's true.
This is a great time because it gets you on the same page. Same philosophy. Yeah, people often ask us, like, what was the biggest transition? Your first child, your second child, your third child? I would say yes, yes, and yes. Every child is a transition. Actually, I felt like the first three. The first one is like, oh, everything's changed, Suddenly you can't just run out and grab a pizza together and pick out a movie. That's back when you go out to pick out a movie. Yes. I was like, oh, the baby's sleeping. I guess one of us goes instead of both of us go. That was a big, just a mental transition. And then the second one, both of your hands are full suddenly, and dad usually is taking the toddler, and mom has the baby because the baby needs mom every second, and that's kind of a whole nother adjustment. And then the third one, you're outnumbered suddenly. 4 and on is all the same. No, it's not. It's not. Number 5 was a change. Number 5 was a change.
6 and
Number 7, you had to get to a big.
okay, 7.
7 changed everything.
Between 4, 5, 6. Nah, not much change. 7, we needed a bigger table, we needed a bigger car, we needed a bigger house.
I miss driving a nice SUV.
Noelle changed
Those were
it all
nice.
for us. Yeah.
7, like I wanted to trade my beautiful road SUV to a school bus.
Yeah.
And it was like, drove very differently. Yeah, so 7 changed a lot of things.
Yes, and then 8, 9, and 10 were all just, it's always a little adjustment, but nothing big.
But 10, you're like, oh boy, we got 10 kids.
That's the biggest
1,
adjustment.
2,
Do we really have 10
kids.
children?
We have more kids than both of our parents combined.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You had a fairly big family.
and I had a big family.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, the next one is, how did Solo propose, or did Sarah propose?
I'm unemployed. I live with my parents. Would you marry me?
You didn't say that.
No, I'm kidding. That's a line from a movie.
We didn't. Okay. We didn't have a grand proposal.
No.
Solo did do the asking.
Well, yeah, I came from across the world.
That was the grand proposal.
That was the grand
Grand
proposal.
gesture.
Flying all the way.
Yeah, we were on a road trip to my brother's. And
Colorado, right?
yeah, and he had come for a very specific purpose to the States. So I knew why he came. Everyone knew why he came.
A kid doesn't fly from Nairobi, Kenya to Lincoln, Nebraska for a cup of tea. Let's just put it that way.
He did talk to my dad and got his permission, but yeah, it was more like a conversation that we had. And it was, were big proposals a thing in Kenya much?
Not
then?
so much. Not
Maybe they
so
are
much.
now,
Well, some people did. Yeah, it wasn't in the way that they do it here. And there's a lot more of it now. At the same time, we just meant business here a little bit. It's like,
We had a limited
should I get on the next plane back, or are we going somewhere here?
Yeah, if you want to hear how we met, we did do a video about that, and it's a story. And
you're gonna link it?
Yeah, we'll link it down below.
Sure.
And then one other person asked about dating, or a few people actually asked us about dating ourselves and singleness and finding a spouse. That's a loaded question.
It is a loaded question.
I really think
that's when I say goodbye, guys. I'll see you later.
Get back here.
Okay.
I really think that when you'll hear it in our how we met story, if you're a believer and you're seeking after what the Lord has for you, you find your spouse along the way. And I think that goes pretty much for everyone. If you're doing what you're passionate about, or where you're calling, or where you're going, however you want to say it, that's the place to find your spouse. Now, I know there's a lot of internet dating and all that stuff, and that works out great. So many of you probably met your spouse online. I can't really speak to that. I know people that do.
I've counseled people that
yeah,
have.
it's many. We know so many people that do. And so I can't really speak to that because that wasn't my experience. But if you're wanting to meet somebody in person, just going straight after what you love the most, that's where you're going to find somebody that's also doing the same thing that you are. Going after what you love the most, and you'll find fulfillment in the waiting, that time period.
Right.
And that's kind of what we did.
Not sitting around waiting for that person to come. Just keep doing.
Or waiting for your life to start for that.
Yeah. Keep on moving with your life.
We were both very heavily pursuing a certain direction, and that's when we found each other.
Paths converged, and it was wow. You know?
And neither of us had really had a serious relationship before. No. That was awesome. I mean, I am so thankful for that in retrospect. We talked a little bit in our Monday video about our kids dating, and that really plays into why we're passionate about them not getting serious very young. Yeah. And I know not everybody agrees with that, and that's totally fine, but for us it worked so well because we came into a relationship without relationship baggage, which has been awesome. I think
it's been a blessing in itself.
A huge blessing.
Yeah. There's some things that you cannot avoid, but if you can avoid certain things, why not? And miss on the extra baggage, you know. So there's some things you could have that will follow you, you know, from previous relationships and all that. There are many times where you really there's nothing you could have done about it. But in the case where it depends on you to some degree, then just protect your heart. There's a verse in the Bible that says, guard your heart above all things, because out of it runs the issues of life. So dating, getting really deep in a relationship as a young person, you do give a part of your heart.
Yeah.
And it opens up to other things, hearts and all that. Some people think that you have to learn how to be heartbroken in order to, because that's part of life. I don't think you have to. I think it's possible to learn the dangers without having to experience it yourself. You can learn it from the experiences of others and see, you know, and And it's not like being afraid. You know, I think sometimes people mix this up. It's like, I'm not afraid of relationship. I'm not afraid of being heartbroken, but I'm protecting myself from unnecessary unnecessary heartbreak.
Yes. We ourselves did not get close
too involved
in our relationship until, like, we knew from the Lord, we knew from our parents, we knew from the people that speak into our lives. Everybody was on the same page, and that's when we got closer in our relationship. So we kind of had those boundaries set, which really helped us. It's what we chose ourselves, by the way, and because your parents didn't tell you to do it that way.
No, my parents not.
Mine didn't either. They talked to me a lot about relationships, but they didn't tell me how I had to do it. So,
but a lot of it stemmed from our relationship with the Lord, and just knowing what the Lord has for His people and seeking His perfect plans for our lives.
Yes.
So that motivated us to, like, hey, it's okay. You know, I don't have to kind of freak out and wait. Yeah, did some girls that came around my life, did I ever question? I wonder. You know, some girls that maybe I was friends with and stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I thought I met my husband 5 times before you. But.
Yep. I wondered about 3 different ones before you, but we never got really in any deep relationship, a committed relationship.
And by the way, we have friends who did, and it didn't turn out to be the right one, and they were able to come out of that and say, no, I'm going to do it a different way, and really do it a different way the second time. So there's always, like, redemption too, you know? There is.
Right. And the thing about relationship is everything is not so black and white, because God's made all of us uniquely different.
That's right.
So it's really about principles more than a prescribed
formula.
Prescribed formula.
Yeah.
And that's where people I see on the religion world and the not religion world. Sometimes that's the problem comes, is that you get a prescribed formula. You have to you have
to live with somebody before you marry them, or you won't know enough.
Or you cannot do, you know, so.
Or you can never go on a date or hold a hand until you're married, or whatever. You can go all extremes.
You can get all of that. I think the key thing is a good balance and good guiding principles for us as believers. Just really that kind of living our lives for the Lord helped us stay in that path. And so we have the same general principles that guided our lives, but in terms of, like, just the intricacies of this or that, some of those things are minor.
So obviously we would love it if our kids had similar experiences, but they're going to walk their own paths and make their own decisions too. And so we share with them what a blessing it has been in our lives to have our first real relationships be with each other, and they will choose their own way too.
And the thing is that as parents, though, we also have a responsibility to help and guide them. Because they haven't been where we've been. And we've seen a lot. So that obviously, yes, as they get older, they're going to make their own decisions. But we're gonna help them navigate through these things. They don't need to be thrown in the world as if they don't have any parents or people know them. And I think that's what happens to a lot of kids. They're thrown into the world without any parental guide, either two extremes. Overly controlling parents or no parental guidance at all. Neither one is good. But
we're trying to give them that guidance.
Helping them navigate the waters. You know, by the grace of God. By the grace of God.
Anyway, it's been a good 18 years so far. Would you do it again? Would you say yes again?
Well, if I had to do it again, you know.
If he had to do it again, the only thing he would do different is he wouldn't have shaved his head so early.
Yes, I would have kept it. You know, that was weird.
What was weird?
No, number one, I felt very secure. Because the science teacher said that losing your hair is maternal.
We talk about this way too much.
It's maternal. So I thought, hey, this will never happen to my life, because my grandfather, who's 90-some years old,
has
a head full of hair. So I thought, man, I'm secure in that. But my dad was bald at 26. So, sorry.
So he started shaving.
For convenience.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's great. I've always loved his head shave.
And now I can't have an afro.
Now when he starts growing it, he's like, what happened?
I can't have an afro even if I wanted to.
Shouldn't have shaved it that early. No, I'm glad you did. You stayed the same. It's kept your young look all these years.
From neck up.
Hey, thank you guys. If you put up with us to the end of this video, God bless you.
Congratulations.
We'll talk to you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
See ya.
If you want to hear us talk more about parenting, we recently did an interview with some friends of ours, and we'll link those interviews down below. And it just gave me a new perspective that I really didn't have as much control, because now I can sleep well at night.
One of the biggest things is exposure.
You didn't recognize it from the beginning maybe, so you responded to it. She kept escaping. The more we were parenting and going through, the more we realized,